his approach was dumb. It was dumb to let the Americans reimpose Buy America rules that Harper had got lifted. It was dumb to let Trump impose softwood lumber tariffs that Biden has now doubled. Yep. But you know what is dumb, dumber, and dumbest of all? Imposing a 61-cent a liter carbon tax that will force our trucking companies, our factories, and our mines to head south of the border into the arms of President Trump. We know why he wants to create American jobs with the Canadian money, but why does this Prime Minister want to help him?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we stood up and protected Canadian jobs, Canadian industry, and Canadian trade. We know that the American government cares about creating prosperity in North America, and we're going to do it together. But what the American government, and particularly this president, also cares about is defense and national security. Well, the leader of the Conservative Party was sitting around the cabinet table when they dropped spending on defense to below 1%, and the Americans won't understand any more than Canadians do why the leader of the opposition refuses to take national security seriously, refuses to get his...
Colleagues, I know it's Wednesday. It's really important, though, that we have an opportunity to only recognize the person who's speaking at the time so that the Speaker can hear what's going on. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, maybe the reason why Conservatives were able to get rid of Buy America and softwood lumber tariffs is because we helped the Americans crush the Taliban and ISIS, whereas this Prime Minister couldn't even shoot down a Chinese weather balloon over northern Canada. Now he wants to impose a tariff on his own companies, a 61-cent a liter carbon tax, 300% higher than it is right now, where there's a 0% carbon tax south of the border. Why does he want to create an avalanche of Canadian businesses, jobs, and paychecks leaving for America?
That's so true. That's so funny. Remember when people were talking in the House of Commons? All you have to do is look up and see a Chinese Bible.
Once again, right now, the Conservative leader constantly talking down the members of the Canadian Armed Forces, talking down and nickel and diming our veterans. They shuttered 9 veteran services offices, cut thousands of staff from people helping veterans, and made cuts to the Canadian Armed Forces that brought our spending on defense to below 1%. Mr. Speaker, he won't even commit to our timeline to get it up to 2%. And he will not get his security clearance so he can get the briefing necessary to keep all Canadians safe.
Stop beating the dead horse. Holy crap. Someone said in chat, shove your security clearance.
Mr. Speaker, 10 years ago, the New York Times said that Canada's middle class was the most affluent in the world and that the average income was higher in Canada than in the U.S. Today, the average Canadian worker earns $32,000 less than their American counterpart after tax. Because of all the taxes and economic obstacles the Liberals have put in place. Now the Americans want to steal our jobs and bring them to the U.S. Can there not be an election so that Quebecers can choose who is going to defend their jobs? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canadians remember very clearly what Stephen Harper's approach was, which was to bow down to the Americans. But we stood up to protect supply management, to renegotiate NAFTA, to protect our aluminum and steel workers. We will always stand up for the Canadian worker, and we're going to invest in national security, which is the thing the Conservatives failed to do. They lowered spending to less than 1% of GDP. And at the same time, the Conservative leader keeps refusing to get his security clearance and to take national security seriously.
Like, I can see him blaming Harper in 2016 or 2017. It's Mr. 2024.
It seems likely that after the election of President Trump yesterday, a certain number, in fact, a definite number of people in the U.S. will seek to leave the U.S. and will seek asylum here in Canada. Has the government already made plans to manage the influx of asylum seekers, knowing that people who've been here for 2 weeks can make a refugee claim, as they did through Roxham Road? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, like any responsible government, for months we've been preparing for whatever the outcome was of the U.S. election last night. We will always work to protect our economy, our workers in the forestry industry, our farmers, our aluminum and steel workers, and we're going to be there to protect the integrity of our borders and our immigration system. We've always been able to work well with the Americans, and we'll keep doing that in order to manage the border and the economy responsibly. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. That seems a bit of a general answer. It's a bit vague, given that there could be millions of people in the U.S. who are going to have to leave, perhaps even in short order. And if they happen to get through in an irregular fashion and stay for a couple of weeks, then they will be able to stay longer. Has the government taken steps to at least ensure that asylum seekers will be distributed according to the population of each province and Quebec? The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
So you want
Mr.
us to
Speaker,
ship
this
them to
government
other
has already
provinces?
shown its ability to work to protect the integrity of both our immigration system and our borders in working together with the Americans to improve the system and also to make sure that Roxham Road was closed down. We've been able to take steps to better distribute refugees across the country. We will continue to work responsibly and reasonably to ensure that our borders and our immigration system are managed responsibly.
Canadians are worried that Donald Trump's plans will hurt people. They're particularly worried that his plans to impose across-the-board tariffs are going to hurt Canadian jobs. It's going to mean that the cost of everything is going to go up. So will the Prime Minister today stand up today and say that Donald Trump's plans are wrong?
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as we've demonstrated before, we will continue to work constructively with the American administration. We will continue to defend Canadian jobs and interests while we look to create growth and prosperity on both sides of the border. We stood up for Canadian agricultural workers, for Canadian steel and aluminum workers, for Canadians from coast to coast to coast, and we did it with a Team Canada approach that brought together labour union, businesses, premiers of all different provinces. We will continue to work together to stand up for Canadians and create prosperity for everyone in North America.
That's right. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Canadians are worried about losing their jobs.
What Donald Trump is proposing to do threatens jobs in Canada. He's threatening to put tariffs on things that will increase the cost of living and also threaten jobs at a time when the cost of living is already too high. Is the Prime Minister ready today to stand up and clearly state that Donald Trump is wrong? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, when Mr. Trump, during his first term as president, threatened to rip up NAFTA, we were able to work with him not just to defend workers and the Canadian economy, but also to improve the deal to create opportunities for everyone in North America. We will continue to work responsibly to defend the values, interests, and jobs of Canadians, while at the same time knowing that we can do this together to create more prosperity all across North America.